Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Queen City Unleashed. I'm Shay Alushina, and today I am in Pizza Baby West with one of the co-owners, Steven De Falco. Steven, welcome to the podcast.
Shay, thank you so much, man. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to be here. This is one of my neighborhood spots. I tell people that when my wife and I first moved to the west side of Charlotte, there weren't a lot of like sit-in restaurants. There were a few to-go places, but there weren't a lot. And then you guys came over here, and Azul came over here, and Restaurant Constance. And now the west side has got some very, very reputable food spots that people know across the city. And I just want to thank you for bringing one of the best ones over here.
Thank you. We love being part of the landscape. We're so proud to be here, and then the rest of that roster is pretty darn strong. So we
Yeah,
love it.
it's good. It's good. Okay, so we'll get into Pizza Baby and Flower Shop, but first, let's start with your background. Who is Steven? If someone asks you who is Steven, what would you tell them?
Oh, it's a great first question. Thank you. Um, I I'm a proud resident of Charlotte, North Carolina, the Queen City. I'll lead with that. The
Okay,
Queen City Unleashed.
make some noise for the Queen City.
I love uh, I love geographical identity. I'm a born New Yorker, so
Okay,
I love place.
okay,
Um, Born New Yorker, raised Floridian, and my wife and I moved here about 3 years ago.
okay.
And
So
um,
you're new to Charlotte.
New to Charlotte,
Okay.
yeah, and really really proud to be here. Uh, and
What brought you from Florida to Charlotte?
Florida to Charlotte, so it was one of those pandemic, we need to get out of here moments.
Ah, uh-huh.
Yeah.
So we got here, it was planned for us to already be moving here, but we got here 2 months after COVID started. But I had a job that I'd already accepted coming out of grad school, so we knew but we just didn't expect it to be COVID. We weren't running in the middle of COVID like a lot of folks, but it's moving in the middle of a pandemic is
Yeah,
kind of crazy.
yeah, kind of crazy.
So what side of town are you guys on?
We're in Montclair, next to Madison Park, so closest to our restaurant in Park Road Plaza,
Okay.
Flower Shop. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So what else about you? You're New Yorker. I know a lot of New Yorkers have great New York pride. How old were you when you left? Do you have more Florida pride or New York pride, or is it just a straight up Italian pride?
The Italian American pride and identity is real big
Yeah.
within me, who I am, I guess. More New York, more New Yorker running through my veins. It feels more and more by the day.
Really?
I love Florida, and I loved my time there, um, but I think it's who I am, and it helps me understand my uh, entrepreneurial pursuits and identity, a little bit of the hustle culture.
Yep, that is for sure.
Um,
I don't think anyone's ever looked at Florida and said they have a hustle culture. Half the people in the state are retired, so I don't know if they'd ever say that, but that does make sense.
all that said, I love Florida. I'm born in March. I'm a Pisces, so my wife calls me a fish. I love to swim. I love the water, and you've got great water in New York too, but I think just I'm born on Staten Island. My mother is from Bensonhurst, Brooklyn. And when we moved to Florida, a big thing for my mom was that she wanted her children to know and understand New York. So we were there every summer in Brooklyn and then out east on Long Island. So we saw these two beautiful and
Wow.
highly contrasting
So New
sides
York
of
was
New
still
York.
very much a part of your life, even though you had left, but still very much a part of your
Yeah,
life.
big time.
Wow. So big Italian family? Are you like a stereotypical big Italian family? What is that like growing up Italian? I just hear great stories, very familial, big dinner table. What was your Italian upbringing?
Yeah, not a huge family, but a big family, and then the um, the a lot of the cultural things you hear about Italian American families and the way they do things. It's true. Mountains of food on the table and taking that very, very seriously. And Sunday is sacred, both religiously and culturally in
Yeah.
terms of food. So everything, yeah. Sunday sauce, which goes back to, of course, which is really has its roots in Neapolitan ragu. Um,
You tell me a little more about that? I'm not familiar.
yeah, I like this. As I've tried to, that deep question that now is ticking in my brain that you said, who is Steven?
That's a new one. You're the first person I've asked that question to. That's a new one.
I've spent a fair amount of time trying to understand uh, being an Italian American in the States. Um, and then as I was starting my career in food, I went to Italy and lived in southern Italy for a summer season.
Oh, cool.
So then I saw Italy,
Right.
right? And these are two very different things, Italian American culture and
Yeah.
Italian culture. So I've tried to understand how it evolved and translated, from immigration,
Yep.
and then how it happened, how it evolved in New York. I think it's all just cool subjects. But to answer the question on Sunday sauce or gravy, it's debated and everyone calls it something different. But um, long story short, Italy is split between the north and the south almost in terms of cuisine. You'll see more, think butter, cream, heavier influences in the north of Italy, and then in the south, it revolves essentially around uh, the tomato or the plum tomato, San
Hmm.
Marzano, more common. Um, so that red sauce was taken from many areas around Naples or those regions and below, um, and brought to New York, and it kind of evolved into Sunday sauce, but with the extravagance and the new wealth that was being created. So the portions were bigger
Hmm.
and it was kind of all eaten at once, where in Italy it would be coursed out. I could spend a lot of time talking about this. I was trying to keep that short.
Oh, wow. A Sunday sauce. I really appreciate what you're saying. The Italian American. I am Nigerian American, so I'm the
Wow.
first on both sides, mom and dad's family, to be born and raised in the States. And so there is a very unique upbringing, I would say, that I have because my parents come over and want to instill Nigerian culture and upbringing in us, but also their faith. But then they also recognize that their children are not in Nigeria, that they're in America. And how do they weave all of those things in together to give us the best upbringing that we could have? And they did a really good job. I like to think I turned out okay so far. Um, but yeah, there's a lot that goes into that where even as we get, my brother and I talk about this quite often, as we get older, values from the culture or from the faith or the upbringing that we have, where does that stem from? Some that we love and that we want to hold on to and hopefully pass on to our kids. Some that are like, maybe that's not for us. And like understanding where our parents came from and like what it meant for them. So I really appreciate you also having something similar where you're trying to navigate the true Italian, Italian American, and all ends up in Steven. All right, so we were just talking about this before we got on camera. Starsky. His nickname is Starsky, and I just feel like that's a strong. Like if someone just called you, "Oh, Star," that'd feel a little pretentious. Like it feel a little cocky. But Starsky, where is that from? Like is that a family name, or where did that come from?
Uh, my business partner, the fantastic chef Trey Wilson, aka Super Cat, gave me that nickname. The mustache, the big hair. David Starsky, Starsky and Hutch. Um, yeah, that's it.
Really, that's it.
And we have a great pizza on the menu
Oh yes,
at
you do the Starsky.
at
Oh,
Pizza Baby West.
oh my
Starsky.
gosh, it's so good. That's like actually my go-to pizza. And this morning was the first time I made the connection. It's like the pizza's named after this guy here.
You read a lot of books, business books, a lot of talk about culture, and I've spent years thinking about it. I firmly believe this. Like, if you were to look to force culture, it doesn't happen. It almost has to evolve in and of itself.
Mhm.
Absolutely, you can craft it and push it to develop a company culture and all the standards of healthy workplace, safe, those aside. But then you're going to end up developing a culture based on founders and leadership team that is just natural.
Yeah.
And so we say part of company culture, everyone has a nickname.
Ah.
Everyone has a nickname. And you can't force them. Sometimes some people don't have a nickname, and then something will pop up, and like it'll be in
Sticks.
conversation, it sticks, and we say, "What'd you just say?" That's it. You're Nikki Bread.
Do you have a Nikki bread?
We got Nikki Bread.
Nikki bread.
Yeah.
Okay. What are some of the other? You don't have to tell me the people, but what are some other good Pizza Baby staff nicknames?
You got Nikki Bread. You got C. You got Senor Serrano. You got Super Cat, that's Trey, my business partner. Super Cat. He was working in the kitchen years ago, and I think some guy looked at him and said, "You're gonna be Super Cat." And he was like, "Okay,
All right, I'm Super Cat.
I'm Super Cat."
So mine, my name is Shay, but growing up, people just shorten it to Shay. And so
Just wondering.
going to college, I had this whole like I try to describe my like explain my name to people because I'd say Shay and they're confused. And so now I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna go at Shay in college. It's easier that way. And so I would say Shay, like Shea butter, like that you use in, and people would chuckle. And I had an instance where some girl saw me and we had met before, and I was like, "Do you remember my name?" And she was like, she starts rubbing her hands together because that's what I do, like lotion, like shea butter. And she starts rubbing her hands together, and she goes, "Cocoa butter?" I said, "Coke." I said, "Wait a minute." I
Now
said,
it's distorted.
I was like, "No." I was like, "Absolutely not. You think my parents named me Coco?" I was like, "No." My favorite though is there's this guy who was doing a study abroad from Switzerland, and the very first day I met him, he and I just hit it off. We ended up hanging out for like 2 hours. He was like, "Let me make you a sandwich." I'm like, "You don't, I ate. You don't have to." He goes, "No, no, sit. I'll make you food." And I was explaining my name to him and I said Shay, like Shea butter, try to make it click for him. Well, I'm on campus one day, thick Swiss accent. I'm on campus with my friends, and all of a sudden I just hear butter, butter. And my friends are like, "Who is he talking to?" And I was like, "No, Jean Marco, the Shay was the important thing for you to remember, not butter." But he would just yell out whenever he's like, "Butter, good to see you." And I'm like, "My name is not Butter." I was like, "You took the wrong part of it." So I understand nicknames. I've moved away from it all now. It's just Shay. Uh, but yeah, I gave up the it can't be Shea Butter anymore. It just doesn't feel like it fits.
I, I, I think it's great. And if you were here in this building, the nickname would be Butter without a doubt. Like, no question.
Maybe next time I make a reservation here, I'll just put Butter.
And we're gonna put AKA Butter. I'm gonna edit. Anytime you make a reservation, I'm gonna edit it now.
It's
Just
just
say AKA Butter.
Okay. You just showed us a picture of your two adorable little girls. How do you like to spend your free time? You personally, with your wife, with your family. What do you guys like to do?
It's it's simple these days. I mean, in terms of time is I mean, it's a scarce resource for us all, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the demands of entrepreneurship and small business. There's no denying that my time is significantly limited,
Mm-hmm.
and so when I do have that time, it's with my wife and the girls, and we're usually at home cooking and listening to some music in the kitchen.
Ah.
Yeah.
What is music that you like? What are
I, I like it all. I was raised on classic rock and roll, listening through the Led Zeppelin albums, which I think was
okay?
an important lesson. I got that from my uncle. He's got a good nickname, Stevie Lams. His name is Stephen Vincent Lombardi. His nickname, aka Stevie Lams. He's a retired New York City fireman. He's my hero,
Stevie
one of a
Laws.
few heroes. He taught me about classic rock and roll, but we listen to everything. And music is a big part of what we do at all of the restaurants, company culture, and then also vibe and
Oh yeah.
part of theme. We like the music loud, and we like it diverse and different, and everything from. We've been listening to quite a bit of nice Brazilian music lately,
Oh,
um, and then we'll go into just rock and roll, dance music as the night goes on, and
like
again,
house.
we like it loud. Yeah, but more not necessarily EDM, but
Yeah.
more like with roots in disco,
Yeah. Okay.
like a lot of like maybe new disco, French disco.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got some French disco actually. When we were out, we were in Paris last year and ended up in this tiny little club, and I mean tiny.
Dude,
And it is like down these stairs, and we were about to leave. We saw the bar and we're like, this place is dead. We turned the corner, whole dance floor, ceiling probably no taller than 10 feet tall, and people were just having a blast. And it was just, I think it was a lot of the French disco music.
those those micro clubs and discos in Europe are the best.
We had a good time.
They're so cool.
We had a good time. It was just like very, like, the DJ almost feels like he didn't care if anyone else was in the room. He just played for himself. But yeah, we had a really good time. In Charlotte, I know you have a business, and I know that's gonna take a lot of time. Do you have side hobbies that you enjoy? How do you like to decompress when you have free time?
We love the Greenway. We play a little bit of pickleball. My business partner Trey leads a workout group
Ooh,
that rotates around different parks around
okay.
town. So right now he's doing it uh, at a park in Plaza Midwood.
Oh, neat.
So we do that, and then when we can grab a coffee, we're usually at Not Just Coffee, Undercurrent, or Night Swim,
All right.
hanging out for a meeting or a brainstorm, or and then if we can grab a bite, we go out to eat a little bit.
Where do you go? Where as a bit, I'm curious. I'm sure there's a little bit of a critique in the back of your mind as a restaurant owner, and maybe not a critique, maybe more an observation when you go into other restaurants. What do you like? What can you take back to
Right,
yours? Like good,
right.
good things. What do you want to make sure you're not doing? But what are some places that you like to go? Let's go date night, you and the wife, and then fun family spot that you guys like to go to.
It's a great question. So yeah, when you're in a restaurant, it be commonly said, like when you're in it and then you're in someone else's restaurant, you're tweaked, right? You're not guard down completely in the moment, which
Yeah,
is something you sign up for
blessing and a
when
curse.
you're in it. Exactly. So you are a little bit tweaked. You're looking around. You're watching the flow. You're watching how they operate, and it's an industry with so many variables and nuance that, I mean, nothing is really the same in this life. I think a beautiful part of human experience,
Yeah,
right? But I guess if you put a car next to a car, more or less, four wheels, four wheels. The point I'm trying to make: restaurants are so unique. Um, Granted, the chain category, right? They're operating in a particular way,
yeah,
but then you're adding at different chains, you're adding different humans,
yeah,
and so you're gonna get something a little bit different. But on the independent level, everyone has their own way of doing things. There's no way to
yeah.
to call it black and white. Um, okay, where do we like to eat? We love Malpan in South Park.
What kind? Wait, mall pond?
Malpan,
Wait, I've seen
bad
it.
bad bread, baby. So good.
Huh.
Yeah,
Okay, I've seen it.
yeah.
I've never been.
True nixtamal tortillas. I mean, awesome, awesome.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Um, and then they just opened up uh, El Malo in Plaza,
All right.
right on the main drag. Yeah,
Okay. What else?
yeah. What else? Um, We go to Roosters a fair bit,
Uptown?
uh,
That's
both Uptown and South Park.
okay. Yeah, I've been to the Uptown one. It was a good time.
And then I'm hesitating to say this, but I'm going to say it because it's the truth. When my wife and I have a chance for a date night, uh, we go to Flower Shop because it's my favorite restaurant in Charlotte. I'm allowed to say that. I'm
Ah,
allowed to say that
plugging his own restaurant.
because my business partner Trey founded that restaurant in 2017, long before he and I were together. I
Ah,
partnered with him there after the fact, and it really is that's how Trey and I really came together. I saw what he was doing there. I was just blown away, and I really do think Trey's making some of the best food in Charlotte there. So many good restaurants in Charlotte, but I can say that because
Flower
that's
Shop.
That's
Okay.
Trey's baby.
Okay.
We go there, and we have a great meal.
So, been here about 3 years, right? How, what are some things that stand out to you about the city of Charlotte? You said earlier that you like place, and that's important to you. So, when you think of Charlotte, what are some things that really stand out or kind of your shining lights being here? Because you clearly have to have some if you want to set up a couple restaurants here. That means you're going to be here for a little bit. So, what are those things that you feel really highlight our city well?
It's a city that feels like a town. I mean, you're driving around these winding roads, and I mean, how cool is that? So there's clearly a high level of commerce going on.
Oh, yeah.
With that comes opportunity, right? Um, I also feel like it's a young city in terms of what it can be, and it's such a it's such a nice place to live. Given the New Yorker in me, New York is by nature New York City, a very challenging place to live.
It's a zoo.
That's not an easy day to day. It is a zoo, and it's fair to say that. That's not an easy day to day. That's crazy. We just did a catering order for this wonderful woman. She comes down to Charlotte to talk about commerce, right? How cool. She's in the city, in New York City, and she comes down to Charlotte so often. And we were talking about New York versus Charlotte. She works with one of the banks here. And she said, Steven, New York, it's overstimulating. It's all that said, more on Charlotte. It's just, I feel like it's a pleasurable place to live and exist and to live and work.
Yep. You know what I've started
Great for
to saying?
families.
It's Charlotte has a good pace.
I love it.
Pace is the word that to me, like I played a lot of soccer growing up. That was my entire life, and I think when I think of high paced teams or slow, it's boring. Like it's not going anywhere fast. And if I were to describe cities like that, I'm thinking some of these retirement areas in Florida that it's just like there's not there's no urgency of any sort. And then you got the high paced teams that are just running up and down a field, and that's going to be New York. And I feel like Charlotte's just got like this really cool pace that
Yeah.
like you can take it here, relax here, go have some fun here. And the pace of the city, I feel like never gets overwhelming. I was in New York for a month ago for the U.S. Open, do a father-son sports trip every year with my dad and my brother. And so this year we're like, let's go watch the U.S. Open tennis.
Oh, cool.
Dude, we stayed in Times Square. Coming back at 2 o'clock in the morning, and the amount of people still out, and the city is like,
It doesn't
some
sleep.
people are just getting started. I was like, this is a lot. And I am as high energy as it gets. New York was a lot. I was like, you guys don't, like, there are people selling stuff on the street at 2 o'clock in the
Yeah.
morning. I'm like, who's buying at 2 o'clock in the
Yeah.
morning? And a great place to go visit. My brother would probably love to live there. For me, I'm like, absolutely not. I want to get back. I got back to Charlotte. I'm like,
Yeah.
I was like, okay,
Yeah.
like good pace, a little more relaxed. And something you said that I think I care a lot about is that we're so young that the identity or the future of our city is still to be determined.
Oh, it's so cool.
And I think it's still moldable. And I think it's important to have good leaders in the restaurant business, good leaders in small businesses, good leaders in corporate businesses to think really about the betterment of the city. So that way we all kind of get a voice to mold it into something that we can be proud of. And it's not the restaurants took over the city or a corporate took over the city, but that way it kind of gets molded
Yeah.
together, which is why I do this. Like, I want to hear from people and hopefully be a place where people get to hear the perspectives and hopefully we all get to kind of mold this city together.
I love it. I agree.
We'll see what happens.
Let's do it.
All right, let's talk food. Pizza Baby West and East. Let's start there. I know you said you went to Italy. Cuisine has probably always been on your heart. Talk about your journey of food in your own life professionally to get you to the point where you said, I want to open a restaurant in Charlotte.
I grew up in food and the food business as a kid. My dad has always been in the food business. My uncle is a restaurateur in Miami. My grandfather's one is a butcher. He's still alive today. God bless him.
Wow.
Uh, my maternal grandfather drove a polio, a cheese truck around Brooklyn.
This is in your blood, actually.
I feel confident saying it at this point. Like it's what I know.
Yeah.
There was a lot of osmotic learning going
Yeah.
on,
You're
right?
seeing it all.
I was seeing it all. I was in basements in New York plugging huge huge logs of provolone cheese during like cheese tests with my dad. I would say, Dad, I want to come to work with you. We'd wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning on a produce route, uh, that kind
And
of
it didn't
that kind
scare
of
you
thing.
off. Like, that's how you know that's a true passion. Like, you did all that and were like, I want to do this more.
Yeah, my 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 parents were for sure steering me. It was that uh, I think that immigrant thing, so, of we want better for the next generation,
Absolutely.
right? Which I can't blame and I understand. And maybe we're pushing me towards the professional services field,
Yeah.
doctor, lawyer, accountant, which there's nothing wrong with, but it wasn't for me. I had a brief stint in Washington, D.C., working on Capitol Hill.
Ooh.
One day I'm in volunteering at a soup kitchen and I'm cutting these beautiful red, ripe tomatoes. We were coring them, and actually the guy who was leading the soup kitchen didn't like the way I was coring them, and I wanted to use my knife skills to core out the tomato. Everything was fine with me and the guy. I listened and did the job. I left that I left that day at the soup kitchen and I was like, oh man, like I was, for the first time during my stint in DC, I was alive and a little bit looser and having
Yeah.
fun, and I was like, this is what I want to do.
You sparked something.
Yeah, this is for sure what I want to do, and it just like made the connection to my family, which had been divided up to that point. I was like, that's what my family does. I'm watching this,
Yeah.
or whatever. I was like, no, this is what I want to do. Then I started working in restaurants, and then to get serious, I went to Italy with a one-way ticket to learn the Italian way of of cuisine and hospitality.
You said a one-way ticket?
One-way ticket.
So,
I saved up some money. We have incredible friends in southern Italy. The region is Campania. The major city would be Naples, but they're on the Amalfi Coast, majestic, almost like
so
fairy
you
tale like
just
place.
full sent it out there.
Yeah, I finished working. I was waiting tables at a small chef-driven restaurant in Florida. The season ended in May, and let's go. I'm going to work for the summer in Italy. I need to do this. I need to see the homeland.
Whoa. So you come back from that. Were you working in restaurants there? Were you relaxing? Were you just taking in the culture? What were you doing while you were in Italy?
No, I worked every day for the whole season. at a hotel and 2 restaurants.
Okay.
So the chef that I was staging under, it's a mountain town. They call it the vertical city. So it's like essentially 3 towns built on top of each other on the side of a mountain. And the chef lived in the town above me where I was staying. And he would every morning pick me up on his Vespa. We would float down the mountain in neutral. We'd stop, get a coffee. We'd stop at the fish market. Then one day we stopped at the beach and we were skipping rocks along the water before we were gonna go cook. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a fairy tale.
Right. Like it feels like you're living a
And,
Disney
and
movie.
he didn't speak not one word of English, and my Italian I was trying to learn, but it was horrible. And we just had this really nice kitchen relationship. He taught me a ton. The most important lesson he said in food you need to be creative, right? So that creative word,
And you said a word that I want to make sure I heard. You said you were staging under him.
staging. I think it's rooted in a French word, stagiaire,
Okay.
and so it's an apprenticeship.
Oh, cool. Cool.
Yeah. So I was just
So you
learning.
did that for the season and then came back.
Then came back. Then reality struck. I probably I
Make
need
some
to
money.
make some money. I need to work and figure this out. I was a young kid. I didn't know what I had there. It was amazing. I'm so grateful for the experience. I think about it all the time. But during that time, my uncle was traveling with his family in Italy, and we met up on the island of Capri, and we were drinking some beautiful. The Italians call rosé rosato. Drinking some nice risotto, eating some olives. My uncle's a hard-nosed small business guy, restaurateur from New York, had a restaurant in Miami, and in so many words was like,
Yeah.
you know, hey kid, you ready to get serious? Like, do you want to see the true side of
Yeah.
restaurants, non-glamorous side, and learn operations? I said yes. I booked my ticket back and moved to Miami, and then started working.
So that's where you really cut your chops.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow. Okay, so Pizza Baby, you moved to Charlotte, new city. I mean, so you started a restaurant, and if you guys just celebrated a 1 year
1 year.
anniversary,
Yeah,
Pizza Baby West, congratulations.
thank you.
So if you opened a year ago, I'm assuming you were planning at least 6 months, if not a year before that. You were only in the city for a year before you said, I'm going to open a restaurant.
Yeah, yeah, it happened quickly. It's all involved with we can't talk about this without talking about Trey. So,
A lot
uh,
of love for Trey. Shout out to Trey.
Super Cat.
It's Super Cat.
He's
From butter
amazing.
to Super Cat.
That's it. That's it, butter. Um, I I'm trying to I'm looking for the next project, and I'm looking up at the sky for a partner. I'm like, please, I like partnership, I like friendship,
Yeah.
I like community. I wanted a partner. Um, my wife Claudia drags me out of the house one Saturday. I'm probably like hanging my head, like, start stop, kind of
Yeah.
trying to get something going. Uh, we go to Notch's Coffee in Atherton Mill, and I just about physically bump into this guy that's wearing a shirt that says "Flower Shop" with a huge bud of wheat displayed on the shirt. My last project in Miami was a bread bakery, so I have bread and wheat on my mind most
Yeah.
hours of the day. I see this bud of wheat on this guy's shirt. He's holding his son. We just about physically bump into each other. Long story short, that guy is Chef Trey Wilson,
Super
aka
Cat.
Super Cat.
Super Cat.
And from that moment, we just about hit it off. It was still weird pandemic kind of um, time, like mid to late pandemic timeline. So the state of the restaurant industry was strange,
Yeah.
to say the least. Trey has a house on State Street here on the west side.
Okay.
He was making pizzas out of Flower Shop to survive, to get Flower Shop to survive. Trey has a bread baking background. I have a bread baking background. We came together on all of this. Trey had the vision to bring a pizza restaurant to Charlotte, specifically the west side, right? So he's crazy about the west side. he and I came together, and it was like this explosion of two high energy
Mm-hmm.
dudes.
Love that.
And then that's just how it really just started rolling, all of it,
Making
and
music in
very
the kitchen.
and very fast, and we kind of made it happen.
That is awesome. So Pizza Baby was, I guess, his idea, your idea, but a combination of a partnership to bring it here.
Yeah.
What was it like leading up to opening Pizza Baby West? Were you excited?
Extremely. It's it's by nature challenging. I don't want to dwell on that, but of course, like
I mean, that's real.
you're renovating anything in your home, if you're building an office building or whatever it may be, a landscape project, like there's logistics involved.
Oh
It's
yeah.
construction. It's going to be something. You add permitting, you add multiple uh, county, city, state, and federal agencies with licenses and
Whew.
fees. It's three mountains to climb to make it happen. It's a small miracle, especially for independence. We try not to be too prideful on anything. If we are prideful on something, it's going to be that we're independently owned and operated. We live here in Charlotte, and we're in our stores. Trey
Yeah.
and I are in all three of our restaurants every day. Um, Working, we say the two most important things for us in the stores are people and product. So we're working with our teams, talking to our guests, and focusing on the product in all the stores.
Yeah. They have, when I tell you, a great product and a good team here. Pizza Baby West is one of we came at first and it started coming again more recently in the last 6 months. And I'm like, this is really good pizza. There's another place that I will not say their name, but everyone in Charlotte talks about them. And they got this pizza that's so good. And I am, I grew up on not the fanciest pizza. It's Pizza Hut, Domino's. And so switching to pizza, there was this whole switch I feel like that got brought in. It's like all these artesian type pizzas, um, what is in the stone ovens,
Right.
and I never fully got it because to me pizza should be filling. I shouldn't be hungry after paying $35 for a pizza. Like that should never happen. And so when I first came, I saw the pizza, seeing the pictures. I'm like, I'm nervous. Like, is this another one of these places? And man, I'm not hungry when I leave here, and sometimes I don't finish my pizza when I leave here. And so I
I
was
love
so
it.
happy to get a pizza place that, like, we truly love. We bring our friends. We were here a couple weeks ago. Our friends came in. My wife was like, I want to show them our community. Like,
Oh
all the
man.
times we're taking them, like, around the city to do things, like, see the flashy things. But one thing that we have enjoyed, and I don't think we even really talked about it, but we're not homebodies at all. Like, I don't think we'll ever be homebodies. But like it's cool to have neighborhood spots. Like we don't know what we want to eat. We're gonna go to Azul. We're gonna go to Pizza Baby. We're gonna go to Tora. And it's like this is our neighborhood. Like it feels like we're supporting. We're gonna go to Town Brewing for a beer.
Yeah.
It's like all here, and which is a lot of fun. But in the product that you guys have, the ingredients are very important to you. Talk me through some of the local sourcing, whether it's cheese or the vegetables. Like, talk to me about you got a huge bags of flour here, but talk to me about some of the sourcing because I think good ingredients absolutely are going to make great pizza.
Thanks for saying all that. So love to hear it. We're we're proud and confident in what we're doing in terms of many things, I think. But the product, we say we're chef driven and ingredient focused, right? For the approach of the pizza, it has roots in our bread baking approach, ethos, sensibilities of classic bread baking,
Okay.
um, craft bread baking. So uh, process is an important word in all of this, right? So like a slow process,
Labor of love.
labor of love, big time, right? So it's right. It's not fast. It's not a in terms of pace. It's not a fast pace, right? This is truly slow food. The ingredients, it's very, very important for us to source uh, extremely well. So no preservatives, no binders or anything like that. We say we're clean label, no junk. Um, it's the same food that we would feed our friends, family, and children. I don't think some of the bigger the bigger restaurants in the country or chain operations could necessarily say that. We again, this is one of the things we try not to be too outspoken on it, but there's no hiding it.
Yeah.
It's very important to us. Um, all of the flour we use for all of the products is unbleached and unbromated, and then no stabilizers in any of the doughs. We make all of the doughs in house for the breads and the pizzas, all of the sauces, and then I think another important point is that we're a seed oil free restaurant, so no junky seed oils. We use a ton of olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, like a stupid amount. We get pallets of it. Super Cat and I unloaded a pallet through the side window of my house into storage, a storage room in my house. We had a big truck pull up into my driveway, drop a pallet of amazing Moroccan olive oil. We loaded it through the side window. I think he broke the screen.
Oh, Supercat is in trouble.
And then for our neutral oil, we use oil from a company called Zero Acre that has this amazing mission to get us to move away from those really toxic seed oils that aren't good for the body.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, you guys are. I'm impressed listening to this because, as much as you guys are intentional and thoughtful about so much, it happened fast. Like for you to put all this thought into the oil and the flour and like kind of your core values of your food, but also the restaurant, it opened fast and was successful very fast. Speaking of the success, Top 50 Pizza named you guys top 50 best pizzerias in the country. You've been open for a year. How does that happen? Like, what on earth?
Big time humbled there.
Like, what? A year. You know how many people have pizza restaurants that have been open for decades who will never sniff the top 100, and you guys created a product in a year or launched it. It's been open a year. It took you longer to create, but it's been open a year. Top 50.
Thank you. Thanks for saying that. And it is really humbling, and so much of what we do looks to Italy, right, for inspiration.
Yeah.
And so that 50 top guide is an independent guide, and they're based in Naples, which is pizza. I mean, that's it. That's
So you're
that's it.
recognized by the people who are the most experts
Yeah.
of this.
Yeah, we got that email, and
Who got it first? Was it you or
it came through our generic pizza at our food
Yeah.
group handle, and one early Saturday morning, flipping through emails, and I opened it and went past it. I thought it was spam. Skipped over it. I'm continuing to go through everything else, and I said, wait a second. I went back to it. I read it once. I read it twice. I started pacing the house. I went outside. I started pacing outside. I was like,
what is
okay.
happening? What is
I was like,
happening?
all right, I need to call Trey. I called Trey, and man, we went to New York in June, and we were in a room with titans, just some of the most inspiring and influential guys and gals in pizza in the country, in the world, that my dad's a home pizzaiolo, so a lot of these names my dad was talking to me about as a kid, the the number one spot, Anthony Mangieri of Una Pizza Napolitana in New York City. Man, my dad was probably referring to Anthony Mangieri by his first name in our house. Like, yeah, this is what Anthony does. So we're in a room with all these amazing guys. They call us on stage, and just, yeah, what an experience. It was fun, very humbling. We're proud, and now it sets the bar higher for us to keep pushing, learning, perfecting.
I would have lost my mind. Like you pacing, it's like how do you? Like that's got to be so nuts. Is that something? The other question is that something you guys were looking for? Or was that like a goal to be on that list, or did people find you and come in and check it out? I mean, that's huge.
Uh, Thanks. And no, we we don't we don't chase anything like that. That's not our uh, core focus
Yeah.
or approach. So it came to us, and the guide is the evaluation and the ranking is done anonymously. And by the way, it was this location, the West Side, that won.
West side, best side.
West Side. They send undercover shoppers to evaluate your restaurant on a few key metrics of food, beverage, decor. Um,
Whoa, that's insane.
so it
Could you sleep? Like I'm a yeller. If I get really excited, I probably would have been screaming like crazy.
I, I think not seeking it out and then it coming to us, and like we just, Trey and I with our team, we were just, I think right now is perfect example. We were speechless.
Yeah,
I still am, and we're just now actually starting to
let it set in.
let it set in, reflect on it, and we're starting to embrace. We've framed some of the
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 article.
marketing materials and the
Yeah.
articles surrounding it, and Trey received from them a custom made chef jacket that came from Italy, beautifully embroidered. So we
Oh
just
my
framed
goodness.
that and hung it up. So now we're starting to digest it.
One thing that my godfather tells me in like moments like that are super exciting, you should write down the emotions of it. And I'm not a writer, but he'd be like, write it down, even if you just jot it down. So
I like
that
that.
way, your kids or your grandkids, when they hear the story, they can pick up something and read. This is the emotion. This is how you felt. This is the thought of all of something that's so cool and so significant in your life. So if you haven't, I'd highly suggest documenting some of it so that way your little girls, your grandkids
Oh
one
man,
day can hear
Th-
about the great Starsky and Big Super Cat and what they accomplished so early on. But that's so
thank
sick.
you, thank you so
Um,
much.
one of the products that you guys have, and I did not have this till recently, and it was Tamika here, the Roman
Love Tamika.
the Roman style pizza. Guys, this pizza comes, it's not like regular pizza dough. It's pizza on focaccia bread. It is one of my favorite things in Charlotte. And I'm just like, truly, it is one of my favorite things in Charlotte. Where did that, is that just your bread making background from both of you that said, hey, let's put it, or is that a thing truly from Italy? How did y'all come up with that? Like, I absolutely love it.
I'm so happy to hear you love the Roman
Oh
style.
my, it's so good. It's so, like, our friends came and we came on a busy weekend. Our friends came. We went to a wine festival before, and we're like, we're going to Pizza Babe. I told them about the pizza. We got here. You guys were out of it. I almost cried. I was like,
No,
no. I was like, guys, next time we come to Charlotte, we'll make sure we go earlier in the evening. But it is just, oh my God, it's so good.
it's funny that the Roman style has been taking off, and last night on the east side, Trey was joking. He was like, cause he opens a lot of our rounds, the Americana style. He opens them. And he's like, I've got nothing to do. It's all on the Romans. Like,
It's
uh,
so good. It's
that
so good.
the so that that style of pizza starts with what the Romans will refer to as pizza bianca or focaccia romana, um, which is pizza bianca is essentially a blank pizza with just beautiful olive oil and sea salt.
Okay.
And they'll make them up to 6 feet long in bread ovens. So it is a pizza rooted in bread and bread bakeries. So you have this hybridized approach in Rome of bread baking and pizzeria. They have a few different styles. They have a round style, they have a style in a pan, and then they have the style that we are making, which we're referring to as our Roman style, which they call alla palla or via the peel. So it's a long rectangular peel that lets you get into that bread oven. Like you were saying earlier, it's a stone hearth, right? So you're baking this pizza directly on the hearth, which gives you amazing texture, but also extremely light, airy. So it is thick, textured, but should eat very light.
I might come back tonight.
We're waiting for you.
Yeah, I might be back tonight. It is just, it's so good. Um, I'm gonna ask you a question about Flower Shop Pizza Baby East. Pizza Baby East opened when?
March of 2024, March of this year, 7 months after Pizza Baby West.
Can I respectfully just call you crazy for a second? You know how crazy it is to open a restaurant and less than 7 months later open another restaurant? That's crazy, right?
Correct, yeah. You are correct.
But both doing so well. Is there anything super different? Because I don't go to Pizza Baby East because we have West 2 minutes around the corner. What is there? Is there a big difference between the two?
Yes. Pizza Baby West is an Americana style pizza restaurant. So rooted in this Americana style, our large 18-inch round pizza
Yep.
that is one part American or you could say specifically maybe around New York and one part Italy.
Okay.
So it's not a New York style pizza. It's not an Italian style pizza, right? Americana,
Yeah.
the blend. Pizza Baby West is large. It's over 100 seats. It's big, huge ceilings. Pizza Baby East, much more intimate. It's half the size of the West Side where we are, and it's more Roman inspired. That's kind of where we launched our Roman programming and product.
Ah.
So that Pizza Baby East is a Roman style cafe and wine bar. It's open all day, starting at 10 a.m. So start with Lavazza espresso, right? Move into lunch, salads, sandwiches, into dinner. So
Okay.
every day, lunch and dinner, 7 days a week.
So maybe I need to go there in the morning sometime.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And you split your time at both there and Flower Shop, I'm assuming. What is it like from a business standpoint, a mentality standpoint, having restaurants in different parts of Charlotte? Trying to tie this back into the city, what is that like? Probably different, I'd say maybe different demographics, but maybe not. Same quality food, but is there different pros and cons of having it in different areas like that?
Um, it's intentional. Our approach is to create neighborhood restaurants, right? So crafted to the neighborhood by space, menu, approach, crafted to the neighborhood that the space is in,
Yeah.
the restaurant is in. And we want to be a big thing for this is we want to be accessible to Charlotte. We want to continue to evolve as a hometown food group. We want to be accessible to Charlotte. If it's challenging for someone from one side of Charlotte to get to the other, we want to have a restaurant close to you that we can feed you good food with the right service and hospitality.
So what's next then? So does that mean you have more Pizza Babies coming in different neighborhoods? Because I really do, um, I really do appreciate the idea of a restaurant being for the neighborhood. So, do you have other? You guys have plans that you can tell us about? Or is it just expansion? Yes, or do you know or have ideas of where you would like to be?
We're we're just getting started. We're working on multiple concepts
Uh,
right now. The first being our bakery project, right? So Pizza Baby is a restaurant and bakery. Right now we're wholesaling, so we wholesale to great stores
cool.
around Charlotte. Not just coffee, Undercurrent,
Oh, no
Night
way.
Swim, yeah, Salted Melon, a little bit to Reed's,
Huh.
yeah. So we're going to continue to um, grow the bakery operation and work towards a retail storefront. Then from there, quite a few other restaurant concepts. We say we have tricks up our sleeve. We can't wait to
Oh
unveil,
man, I'm excited.
and in different neighborhoods of
I
Charlotte.
know that they are all going to be fantastic. I have a question for you, and I love how thoughtful you are and how you approach these questions, but then life and the business. I think that makes a difference in what you put out and how you present yourself. What have you learned about yourself as a business owner and balancing that with having a family that you love and want to spend time with and then caring about the city of Charlotte? Like what have you been learning about yourself through all these new things?
Nice question. Thank you. Thanks for the care in that question. Uh, I'm a highly introspective individual. I'm spending a lot of time with myself on this topic, on this question, and I think I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
I think speaking to the B word, balance, is wrong. I don't know how to use that word in it. I've always looked towards this all as this I do know. I've always looked towards all of this as life, right?
Yeah.
This is my life, and it's my family, my businesses, and my community. And I a big thing of what I do is I am in service to all of those pieces, and so I'm trying to figure out how to give uh, all of those pieces as much of myself as I can,
Yeah.
while maybe getting a chance
Take a breath.
to hit the tennis ball against a wall by myself just a little bit.
Someone said they don't believe in work-life balance, it's work-life harmony. And the way you talk about yourself and how you look at things, it sounds more harmonious, that it's all together and it's just who's playing what note a little louder here and a little softer here, but all still the same line of music, which I think is fun. Like, I think that's fun. It's not going to be perfect. Uh, different moments you can give a little more to one of those things, and sometimes you have to give a little more to yourself.
Yeah.
But it seems like you are figuring it out, sir. Like
Thanks,
figuring it
man.
out very well. What is your what is your inspiration to keep going, to keep creating? Like you are, there's a science to bread, there's a science to food, but it's art. And as you guys curate these restaurants and these spaces where people come and gather and eat your food, these other things you talk about, what is that inspiration to keep going?
We want to further the quality and culture surrounding great food and hospitality in Charlotte. That's a big piece of it, big part of it.
Yeah.
We want to continue to bring something special for the city. So that's the open
Yeah.
open the eyes every morning, like hop out of bed. That's the marching order.
Whew. All right. So before we get out of here, if you had to, if you had a word, a nugget, I feel like you got good nuggets.
Oh man.
If you had a nugget that you wanted to share with people about supporting small businesses in Charlotte and the importance of that for you and how much that means. What would that nugget be? If it was an encouragement, a thank you, what would that nugget be?
I think in commerce, any of us, myself included, when we are a patron or a customer of something, we can have an incredibly strong impact with our disposable income or a dollar in choosing who we support. And I would say if we choose to support uh, independent businesses, I'll say businesses, all independent small
Yeah.
businesses uh, in the city, we can have an incredible impact on culture for the city as a result.
Yeah, the small businesses, small restaurants like yours, the independently owned, they're the backbone of this city. And the more I get to do this, the more I'm appreciating it, getting these stories out there so people can meet Starsky and hear about what you're doing. But I think that you guys have something truly special as someone who's was eating here long before the podcast was even an idea. These are not,
Cool.
and I want people to understand that these are not plugs. These are not, they paid me $1 to come in here. Like these are businesses that I've seen from afar or seen up close and personal that I like what they have as a product. And I think their stories are super unique. And so I'm honored you get another West Side restaurant and West Side business on the podcast. I really appreciate you being on. This is fun. This is like really fun, good way to start off a Saturday morning.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Shay, thank you so much.
Thank you for being on. Thank you all for tuning in for this episode. But for now, Queen City out.